Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming's Invitational Qualifier, sponsored by TCGplayer.com. I'm Tandy, joined by Mason Clark. Say hi, Mason.
Hi, Mason.
We have 8 players left in the event. I'm going to go down the line to let you know who is still alive, and then I'll tell you what match we're going to be watching first. So, the main story of the event that I want to say, no one likes this, but 5 copies of Ruby Amethyst in the top 8. Gotta let the cat out of the bag. Gotta just say what it is. What do you think about that?
Just it in my mind is pretty clearly the best deck. I think there are other good decks and there are other things you can do to beat it. But as a baseline, it's really strong and it's really punishing to players. Cards like Be Prepared, if you're not used to playing against that, where you don't play against it well, it's incredibly backbreaking. We've seen how between that and Ursula and Aladdin, turn 7 can be incredibly hard to navigate. That puts the players in a position where the stronger player can typically win those spots.
All right, so our top 8 players, I'll just go 1 to 8. We have in first place, Randall Webbing. Second, Devin Harrison. Third is Franklin Folks, and these are all players that we know from the Apex series and Magic. That's 1, 2, 3, baby. We also have Nicholas Roush at 4, Levi Love at 5, Matthew Campo at 6, John Mann at 7, and Zarek Wiley in seed number 8. On the outside looking in, it was a clean cut. It was 3-1-1 or better. But on the outside looking in are Charles Davis and Bradley Marsh. We watched Bradley Marsh play in the first round. So the match we are going to be watching to start off, we're going to be watching John Mann versus Devin Harrison. That's the 2-7 matchup. Devin Harrison is going to be on the play, playing Emerald Amethyst, and he's going to be against John Mann's Amber Steel deck. These players are just about ready to start. So let's go and head on down to the feature match area as they finish their mulligans, and we'll talk about the matchup and what we think it's going to be like. All right, so Devin's Emerald Amethyst on your right will be on the play. John Mann on the left with Amber Steel. We'll get the graphics reset for you for lore totals and stuff in just a moment as these players are finishing up their shuffling.
Yeah,
We've
and
had... Good.
as I say, as these players are shuffling up, I think to kind of expect is both decks can kind of take a more aggressive role between Emerald and Amber being in each color, but the Steel is going to lend John to a much more interactive game and the ability to sort of maybe stop Devin and get around things like Cheshire Cat, which maybe normally have to be answered in other ways. And so the Amethyst here from Devin, sorry, is going to be the way to outdo the Steel. So it's going to be a very tight and close game, and the battlefield is going to matter a bunch.
All right, well, these players are just about ready. They have the green light to start whenever they are good to go, and we'll make sure that they are aware of that. These players have played 5 rounds of Swiss to get here. Devin Harrison was your 2 seed at 4-1. Didn't get any draws throughout the event, either in playing or in the last couple of rounds to draw in. John Mann, however, with 3-1-1, did pick up a draw somewhere. Unsure if it was intentional or not. There were quite a few unintentional draws in this event. I know last round we watched a player who was 2-0-2 win their round and make it into the top 8, but it's been a grindy day so far.
Yep. And these players are good to start, so we should let them know we got a whole days of top 8 to play out. So there they go.
All right, and these are going to be these should be untimed rounds, Taryn. Just FYI, we're not going to do sudden death or whatever, so we can turn the clock off or leave it on. It's up to you. But this is untimed. We're going to start with Olaf from Devin Harrison on Emerald Amethyst. This is a relatively aggressive character because it has 3 willpower, so it dodges a lot of those goons, but it looks quite bad in the face of Hook Forceful Duelist. So
yeah, Hook Forceful Duelist is one of the things that draws people towards Steel. Still
yes.
having things like Big Tank is like what everyone talks about, but Forceful Duelist is actually a secretly like, oh, this trades with everything really well in the early turns, and has a fairly strong shift card too that's often a 1-up. So let's see how players want to play this out here. Looks like Devin's just down to get the 1 lore and call it a day on the Olaf.
All right, well, we're just gonna let it trade and be happy with it because Flynn Rider can eat it as well. So I like it. You're kind of trading tit for tat. You're getting a lore in there as well.
Yeah, it seems like Devin doesn't have anything that can answer Hook, and so instead of falling behind in a matchup where that matters, just gonna get my 1 and done and call it a day. Get your 2 with Flynn, make him lose a card. 1 2-for-1 is not the end of the world. Players are so afraid of getting 2-for-1, but it is not like something that is unbeatable.
Yeah, oftentimes those 2-for-1s, if you sequence them correctly, end up being 3-for-2s or even 4-for-3s because of a cascading chain of effects. So I think that's a fine quest there. Like it looks bad face up, but we're gonna go Flynn Rider to eat it, and then if Hook trades with my Flynn Rider, you have to discard a card. So it's very close to even Stevens, you know.
Yeah, I think we meant to put that dice as a 1, but we dexterity error to 3 and no one's noticed.
That's fine.
There we go.
All right, here's Cheshire Cat from Devin Harrison. If that one is challenged and banished in combat, it will banish the character that challenges it. John Mann, gonna see if he can deploy something here to contain these threats. They're very punishing to attack, each of them having some sort of effect that forces you down a rabbit hole if you do it or if you attack in certain ways.
Yep. Ariel coming down, and we found a Be Our Guest.
All right, Beer, I guess hitting anything off of the aerial is good. Most of the time, you want to use it for the Singer 5 purposes to cast Grab Your Sword. And you want to play things like Be Your Guest, Grab Your Sword, maybe even a whole new world. So you actually have things to sing with it as well as hit in your deck.
Mm-hmm. Interesting here. John could hook down the Flame, but also can just quest himself and then take down the Cheshire Cat. And if Devin wants to give up the lore to attack down the Hook and make the trade, then gives him that option. So I like this quest here.
Yeah, me too. Cheshire Cat's kind of a weird one too. It has no strength, and so if you gang attack it with 2 characters, it's only the second one that challenges and kills it's the one that's going to trade. That's not really that big of a deal for this Hook, but next turn John could attack the Cheshire Cat for 2, leave it with just 1 willpower, and then later on could use Big Tinkerbell or Grab Your Sword or something similar to finish it off.
Yep.
All right, we have our archetype list up in the chat. So if you're curious about what the players are playing, I'll read them off real quick. Randy Webbing, our first seeds on Emerald Amethyst. Devin Harrison, Emerald Amethyst. Franklin Folks, Ruby Amethyst. Nicholas Rausch, Amber Steel. Levi Love, Ruby Amethyst. Matthew Campo, Ruby Amethyst. John Mann, Amber Steel. And Zarek Wiley, Ruby Amethyst. So Amethyst, very clearly the front runner, best color, thanks mostly in part to Friends on the Other Side and Maleficent drawing a card. Be my guess.
Yeah, those cards are pretty big outliers, for sure.
All right, we have small Tinkerbell comes down. That's going to threaten big Tinkerbell in the next turn. So Devin needs to be careful how he quests and sequences over the next few turns. This could be backbreaking, but going to go ahead and say, you know what? I don't think you have it. I'm going to quest. We're going to gain 3 lore. And do you play anything else? Probably, but we're going to use the ability on the Jasper first and make sure that Tinkerbell can't quest.
Yeah, Devin's hands are all uninkables, and they're all 5 or 6.
That's a tilt.
Yeah. You really wanted that turn to play Cusco or something, because you're in such a commanding position with the lore, you can just run downhill. But we'll have to see how John's going to take the opportunity to do this here. And big Tinkerbell comes down.
Yeah, and that's going to eat. It's going to deal 1 to the Flynn Rider from the come into play effect, and then we're going to attack. We're going to chew up the Jasper. It's going to leave 1 willpower left. Or sorry, excuse me, 3 willpower left. That's the 2/4, not the 4/3. I always confuse them because they're both just like Cruella DeVille's big dum-dums.
Yeah, they're very confusing. They're also just like not huge characters, so they don't like stick out in your mind. You know, they literally look like background characters.
Yeah. You know, in the live action version, one of the players or one of the people who plays the goons is Hugh Laurie, who played Dr. House on House. And then also the other one is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe or Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I forgot his name. He was also in Fargo season 1, the main character.
I thought he's the main character. Rapunzel here, drawing 2 cards and resetting the Tinkerbell.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get some questing in too. No reason not to. Martin Freeman, that's the one. He's also in Black Panther. He's an FBI agent.
Oh yeah. Here comes Genie.
Genie on the job. Send him back. We're gonna quest for 3. All right. Well, John Mann is not at 20 lore. That did get bonked slightly. I'm not sure exactly what the lore totals are, but once we figure it out, we will get that updated for you. Our spotter's on the job. Our spotter's on the job. I'll figure it out.
They're gonna take care of it. This is interesting because Big Tink can come down, deal some damage, then we can attack in and, we could get Cusco low, but we're not really doing much, but you are setting up for Grab Your Swords, and we have Grab Your Swords. Okay, that's going to change a lot of the math here as Devin's board's going to get hit up, and we have a second Grab Your Swords that could be huge. Build your own, be prepared.
All right, so unfortunately, I think we're having a slight more technical difficulties with the iPad that we're using to track the lore totals. I know that we actually had this problem the last time I was there at Apex, where the program would kind of freeze up slightly and it would keep resetting back to 20 no matter how many times you try to change the life total. It's actually super bad when it's lore because that's how much you need to win the game. But I believe John Mann is somewhere around
sixth lore now.
Sixth lore now, I believe. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
All right, looks like it's moving slightly, so hopefully we'll be able to change it. But the big thing is Smash knocking off Genie on the job.
And then another aerial, see if we can find another song.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Looks like we found Hakuna Matata. Means
John
no
has been
worries.
hitting with these aerials today.
Oh yeah, it happens when you play 16 songs in your deck. I only ever play 12. I miss a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we got the lore. It's 6-11. Devin Harrison's Cusco is churning it up.
And this is big for Devin because Devin's going to go to 14 this turn and be in a pretty good spot and has drawn another Genie, which is actually pretty great.
All right, well, we got I guess we can bounce an aerial, but that just seems bad. Maybe you bounce your Cusco to reset it. That actually sounds awesome. Because then next turn you can play it and threaten lethal if the Genie sticks around.
Yeah, I think Genie is one of the ones that can bounce anything. Yeah, you may return chosen character to the player's hand.
Decided not to bounce anything, choosing not to bounce an opposing character because they each have interplay abilities, and then not bouncing his own because puts him in a big tempo downshift. But I actually quite like bouncing my own Cusco there personally.
Yeah, I think that was 100% the play. It just puts us in such a position and allows these aerials to actually convert for cards when they're not worth anything right now. So a little bit of a misstep there from Devin. We're going to have to see if we can draw more cards that can make it worth it.
All right. See what you got, John.
Got a big grip of cards thanks to the aerials have sort of hit every single time and gotten us a lot of free ink. So we got a lot of cards in hand still in the mid game, and Rapunzel redrew us here. We know there's 2 Tinkerbells in hand, so that could be something John's thinking about too, of just getting big tinks down.
All right, John, what you got? A lot of options, grip full. Devin Harrison doesn't have that. Just one card left in hand, and it's Pascal. Going to quest for a little bit, going 3 up to 9. Now Genie, 3 willpower left, can die to Smash. Pascal in hand for Devin.
Yeah, Devin, dangerously close to presenting, lethal almost every turn.
That's a John Smith, I think. Or what's his name?
Yeah, that's John Smith, yeah. A card we don't always see players turn to. So many different interesting Emerald builds today. That is definitely the takeaway that I saw.
All right, let's get John Smith on the screen. So this 6 drop, this is Inkable 6. I believe it's a 5/5 quest for 2. And it says, pick your fights. When you play this character and whenever he quests, chosen opposing character gains Reckless during their turn. And Reckless means they can't quest and must challenge if able. Here's a smash on the Genie to finish it off. This Tinkerbell cannot quest, and there's nothing to challenge. So it's going to be sitting at the ready for a full turn cycle. We'll see if John wants to go ahead and quest with the Rapunzel and the Ariel, or if he has other plans.
Yeah, we're kind of in a spot where we need to be putting pressure on Devin to win the game and not let him have any free turns. So I kind of like the idea of just questing a lot and then developing the board and just being like, listen, you can attack this down if you want, but I'm going to be presenting my own lethal soon. So we'll have to see how John wants to play it, though. Just because you quested with the first two doesn't mean you can't go back and quest with Tinkerbell.
All right. John really thinking through the turns. We are in untimed rounds. It's important to make sure you don't misstep in these late game sequencings.
Yep. I do think John's maybe leveling himself a little bit by not just trying to win the game. Winning the game is very powerful. That is my high level insight.
You think winning the game's good?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because then you win the game.
Oh, I see.
Ross Merriam
Okay.
could never tell you that.
You know, I read a lot of Ross Merriam articles. He never once said, if you win the game, you win the game. So
Yeah.
I think that's a Mason Clark first.
Get it on a black and white picture of me.
All right, so we're going to quest with John Smith again, and that's going to make the Tinkerbell not able to attack. Or sorry, it's not able to quest, but it is able to attack.
Pascal. But
all right. John needs some way to sweep him up here.
We have Big Tinkerbell.
Can only kill one.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's a cascade. That's a waterfall. Okay, well, the Big Tinkerbell clears it all up no matter what. Everything's down. John Smith should kill that Tinkerbell. Yes, it's gone. All right, and then we're going to quest for 3. And John Mann is now threatening lethal on the swing back. Does Devin Harrison have anything? Oh, another Rapunzel, too. Just so much lore next turn.
Yeah, I don't think Devin has any draw because, yeah, even a bounce spell here like Mother Knows Best, there's just so much lore in play. We have it covered.
Yeah, and packs it in. Game number 1 of the quarterfinals goes to John Mann's Amber Steel.
Yeah, Big Tinkerbell showing off why early on into Lorcana, a lot of people thought that was going to be the best card. It's just such a powerful effect. And against little creatures, we're cleaning up creatures. She is completely backbreaking.
All right, as these players are shoveling up here for game number 2, just want to give a shout out to our sponsors and tell y'all a little bit about some events we have upcoming. So this is a TCG Player Invitational Qualifier. The TCG Player Invitational is a $5,000 invite-only event at Apex Gaming on October 20th weekend. We're having this event, which is a $2,000 invitational qualifier, and then we're also doing the exact same thing on October 14th weekend. That's 2 weeks from today. And the winner of each of those events will qualify for the Lorcana Invitational, sponsored by TCG Player and hosted by Apex Games at their home store in Caldwell, Ohio. On October 20th weekend at the same store in the same city, we're going to be doing the Invitational itself, where we'll have on Friday 2 last chance qualifiers so you can try to get into the event yourself. We're going to be doing those as shorter 5-round events, 32-person cap, and the winner of each event qualifies. So make sure to head on to Apex Gaming on October 20th and try to win your slot into the Invitational. We're going to be having former world champion of Magic the Gathering, Nathan Stoyer, as our headliner for the event. But we're also going to feature such cool folks like Mason Clark, who's in the booth with me now, as well as great personalities. We have Magic Hall of Famer Frank Carson coming all the way from Europe to play in the event. Happy to have him on board. We also are bringing on Don Delosier, as well as Rebel Sun, 2 awesome players from the Magic the Gathering space. And we're going to have them compete against some of the best in the world. It's going to be fun to watch. All right, players are shuffling up here for game number 2, mulliganing, getting their hands set. Devin Harrison's going to be on the play with Emerald Amethyst, lost game number 1.
Yep, and you do want to be on the play with this Emerald Amethyst deck. Unfortunately, you don't want to be on the play in game 2, because it means game 3, if you get there, you will be on the draw. But, you know, we're happy to have it still.
All right, let's see what the starter is for Devin. Tinkerbell is ink. Any 1-drops? Here's Olaf. It's funny. It's not funny. It's interesting that Devin is choosing Olaf over any of the goons. This Olaf has looked quite weak in the face of Captain Hook. forceful duelist, whereas all the goons would be questing and trading for the hook instead of kind of being, I don't know, embarrassed by it. I don't want to say that. That seems too harsh, but it does make it look quite bad.
Yeah, it really matters on what you're expecting, right? It seems like Devin, and this is literally how game one started.
Exactly
Devin,
the same.
yeah, it seems like teched out for for Amethyst Ruby, where there are a lot of goons in that deck, and the Olaf is nice because it will live. There's just not a lot of, like steel. Like steel is popular, but it's not like insanely popular like Ruby Amethyst is, right? So I think Devin really metagamed for that deck and has locked up the top eight, but this happens a lot in card games. Sometimes, you set yourself up for a top eight, but not for a win.
All right. Also, could have just chose not to quest again, but just literally doing the exact same thing as last game, where you trade essentially a quest or a lore off the Olaf and willpower off of the Flynn Rider for the hook.
Yeah, and I still don't know how I feel about it. I really wonder if you're supposed to have, like, I guess now it's different with the other one in play, the Eric, but you might just have to attack down the Captain Hook, where last game was different, but I don't love Devin's position in these early turns, and these are the turns that matter so much. But this is part
Or
of why Steel's so good.
we're inking a 3-cost Maleficent. We better be playing a 3-cost Maleficent also. Looks like that's not the case, though. Looks like we're going to be playing a Mother Knows Best. It's going to bounce the Prince Eric. Going to allow the Flynn Rider to quest again next turn and maybe throw John Mann off curve slightly.
Yeah, kind of a high risk play, but Devin really trying to stick to the board, take over there. That card's also, one that John can ink, so it's not even the end of the world. As yeah, here comes Tinkerbell.
All right, that Tinkerbell does threaten a big shift. Tinkerbell Giant Fairy next turn, which will kill the Flynn Rider without any punishment because you're not challenging it. We're going to draw 2 with friends on the other side as Devin Harrison, and that's going to allow him to maybe hit his ink drops for the next few turns.
Yeah, and that is important. As we've seen a lot today with Emerald, there's a lot of strong cards in the early game when it comes to being annoying, getting lore, and then your 5 drops are where you start to really get strength again. So you really want to hit your 5 on 5.
All right, and we finish it up with an Olaf. So now we're going to go back John Mann's way. We can use Tinkerbell to kill Flynn, and then we have to discard a card. But if we just go Shift Big Tink, that's not the case. Oh, we actually inked a oh man, the 4-drop discard 2.
Oh, you forgotten me.
You have forgotten me. I forgotten me. Oh, I did. I'm so sorry. That was not a bit, but it ended up feeling like a bit.
It's a bit of one.
All right, so Tinkerbell's gonna go Luton. Gonna tap, draw, discard. We're gonna go back Devin Harrison's way. Now Hans is looking pretty juicy. Gonna quest next turn and deal 1 to the Flynn Rider, more than likely.
Yeah, and I think Flint's has been banished and comp by being challenged, right? So we won't get the
Yes,
discard.
that is
That's
my
pretty
understanding.
big.
All right, Cheshire Cat in hand. I see probably going to get inked for 5 drops starting now. This is where Emerald starts to get really scary with those Cuscos and Mad Hatters. What you got, Devin? Got that Clutch Gaming shirt on. Here's Hans, 13th in line. He was a villain from Frozen, but he wasn't a villain throughout the whole.
Whoa!
He's
Spoilers!
literally villain on the card, man. What do you want me to say?
Maybe it was a plot twist.
It was a plot twist.
Not
10 years
anymore.
ago. You know that
Was that
movie's
10
over
years
10
ago?
years. Yeah, it was 10 years ago now. Over 10 years ago.
That's rough.
Yeah. You
That's
know,
rough.
they made a second one. How long ago do you think the second one came out?
It was 4 years ago.
I'll trust you on that one.
Ye-
All right. Devin, gonna play one of the 3 5-drops. They're all 2/4s. The quest for 3. They have different abilities, obviously. All right, there we go. We're gonna go Mad Hatter. Are we gonna quest? We're gonna quest with at least Flynn because that thing is getting chewed up.
Yeah. Flynn Rider is not long for this world. think you want to do Olaf, even though it does open up a Shift Tinkerbell line. Maybe the Shift Tinkerbell line is just too punishing. That's totally reasonable.
All right, let's see if we got it. All right, quest, shoot you for 1. We're gonna go up to 2 lore. See if Tinkerbell wants to loot here, digging for more good stuff, or maybe quest for 1. It's funny, we're looking at the camera on the left, John Mann's camera right now. Where you see those microphones in the background is usually where I sit and do commentary. And I can always see myself in the camera. And now I feel like I'm a ghost.
Yeah.
All right, here's a 5-drop beast. This one normally destroys items, but there are no items to destroy. So this is just going to be a 4/4, the quest for 2.
Yeah.
It's great against the other Amethyst decks that go long, right? Beast hard-headed. Kills the magic mirror, kills Rabbit's pocket watch.
It's nice here too because it eats up both a Mad Hatter and a Cusco by just being a 4/4.
All right, we're going to gain 4 lore. It's going to put Devin Harrison up to 9, but that leaves him vulnerable. And if Man has 6-drop Tinkerbell to shift in and do some attacking, this could be devastating for Devin Harrison's board position. Cusco looks nice, though. It's going to essentially guarantee 3 lore, but everything else should be getting benched this turn by attacks at the very least.
Yeah, between attacks and Hans's ability to ping, do 1 damage or something, there's a lot going on here. You have forgotten me.
I didn't forget you this time. You have forgotten me, Simba.
That is pretty good here because now Devin is out of cards and you can start cleaning up.
Yeah. All right, so now the question is, do you just ignore Mad Hatter? I don't think you can.
Yeah, it's just too much lore with the Cusco. If the Cusco was a 1 lore thing, I think it's fine, but it was correct to make your opponent discard 2 cards, then let them draw a card. That way they don't get to choose. You've done everything right, John. Just kill the Mad Hatter, save yourself some lore, do your whole thing and start questing a little bit.
All right, so we're gonna quest and deal 1 to the Olaf, and then Tinkerbell's gonna eat it, and then Beast is gonna eat Mad Hatter, and then Devin's gonna draw a card. That should be how this turn plays out, but instead, John Man has different opinions on that. Maybe has something like grab your sword, which he can sing with Beasts.
Yeah, this does look like we're trying to sing a grab your sword, and we're gonna have Tinkerbell attack in. Or maybe we're setting up for a big Tinkerbell next turn and just valuing like, hey, Devin's going to be down a card but up 3 lore. I think we're in a situation where that's too much lore for our opponent, but John has plans and has worked his way into the top 8. So,
yeah, it's hard to navigate some of these gummy boards. So it'll just be interesting to see what the big payoff is. It's clear he's trying to set up like a 1-2 punch to clear off both of these characters, and it likely has to do with either grab your sword or
big Tink.
Yeah. All right, here we go. What you got?
I'll say this: if we didn't have one of those in hand, I would have really liked to see Tinkerbell do her draw discard ability. But we're gonna use grab your sword here off a song from Beast.
You know what? This is actually super smart for John. I'm going to explain exactly why I did this. So, the extra card from Devin Harrison could have been really bad, and this essentially just strips him of all resources while cleaning up and allowing your grab your sword to do the most damage. And it did cost you 3 lore, but I think that is a fine price to pay considering now what board position he's in. Because we're going to quest, we're going to deal 1 damage to the Jasper. We're going to quest for 4 more up to 14 and play out some more stuff. And the Smash is going to take out the Jasper. And I don't think Devin Harrison's deck has a way out at this point.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the play was still wrong, but it is working out really well here.
Well, it looks right because he sequenced it to be Devin's empty-handed, and he has exactly 20 lore on this turn. That seemed like a great sequence.
No, because you give your opponent a draw step either way, and a 3 ink lore. But it doesn't matter. John is into our semifinals there. Congratulations to him. Devin put up a hard-fought battle. We saw him win some earlier rounds today, but still a good finish, and making some moolah back for his time.